Okay, in this tutorial we're going to continue working with the profile. Specifically, we're going to look at how to import a file from AutoCAD, as well as inserting built-in drive layout systems. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to fire up, or I had already fired up AutoCAD here. And let's say you've got a drawing from the draftsman that already has a conveyor layout on it. And actually, in a future tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we can do that. In this tutorial, I'm going to just go ahead and start straight from just a fresh AutoCAD drawing, essentially showing you the basic fundamentals of this, but it's pretty simple. What Sidewinder allows you to do is it allows you to bring in a polyline from AutoCAD. That polyline can have concave and convex radii in it. It can have pulleys in it and drive stations in it and the whole take-up arrangement in it, but it needs to be a single polyline. So that sometimes takes a little bit of massaging, and the polyline can be drawn either way. Normally, again, you'd start at the tail and draw it all the way to the head. But in this just first example, I'm going to just go ahead and do this by hand. So I'm going to just go ahead and type P-line for polyline. We're going to start at 0, 0. And maybe I'll make my first element over, let's say, 100 meters and over 0. I'll just manually click on a few points here. Let's say the conveyor goes up, down, and maybe ends there. So that's pretty simple. Again, obviously, if I had a drawing here, I could snap on all my IP points of the drawing and create my polyline right on top of the existing drawing. And then what I like to do is if I'm drawing over, again, if there's a drawing that is existing, and I just draw my polyline over the top of it, and then I'll simply copy this polyline, paste it into a new drawing, so that's all I have is one polyline in the drawing. And that's sort of again the basis of Sidewinder. It lets you bring in a polyline. If you open up a 50 meg file with all kinds of lines and layers and everything in it, Sidewinder doesn't have a clue what you're talking about. You need to have a single file with just a single polyline in it, and you're all set. Just to show you a few features here, though, I'm going to go ahead and just click a fillet radius. Let's maybe make the radius 25 meters. So I'll click here. Let's put a fillet radius there. Maybe we'll put another fillet radius here. And let's change the radius to maybe 50 meters. And we'll put a convex curve up at the top of 50 meters. Okay. So we've just got a couple radiuses. Again, in a future tutorial we'll go through, I'll show you how you can actually bring in drive stations and whatnot as well. But as a starting point, alright, we've got a simple little conveyor here. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and save that as a DFX file. Call it whatever we want. We'll call it conveyor. And we save that. You can save it as any DFX format. I'm saving as AutoCAD 2000 format in this particular file. And that's it. If we jump over to Sidewinder then, let me close this. Go over to Sidewinder. I just started a new file and click continue here. And we're in our profile screen. At this point I can come up to import a conveyor from a DFX or CSV file. Click that button. I'm going to go ahead and select our file, which happened to be conveyor. And there's our profile. Now we've got a few options here. We drew our that drawing was a 1-to-1 scale. A lot of times, obviously, when you're drawing, if you're working in millimeters, you want to convert that to meters. Sidewinder works in meters, but you might have drawn it in millimeters, so you can just click if you got a custom scale. Same for the y-axis. Sometimes the y-axis is scaled, especially in conveyors, just so you can see what the profile is. That might be scaled 10-to-1 or 20-to-1. In our case, we just had a 1-to-1 scale there. I've got a few different options here. I can overwrite the existing profile, which basically just replaces all my elements. Sometimes you might just have a section. You want to insert this profile in an existing file. So you can overwrite, insert it at the first pulley. You can insert it at the current location, so on and so forth. But by default, it'll just overwrite everything that's you currently have. So we're going to select that option. Then go ahead and click continue, and voila, Sidewinder just imported our 4 little elements here with our 25 meter radius, 50 meters, and 25 again. So just brought in our profile just like that. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The next thing I want to just touch base with on this in this tutorial is inserting pre-existing layouts. So in this case, just to make it simple, I'm going to go over, maybe add another element that's 100 meters long. And let's say at this station now we had our whole drive layout. Now I could manually go ahead and say, let's insert some rows, and I could manually go ahead and enter our whole drive arrangement. Maybe I've got a head pulley. Let me zoom in here, down here on this. Maybe I've got a head pulley, and this comes back 100, or let's say it goes back 10 meters. One note I want to make right now. In the next tutorial, we're actually going to talk about pulleys and drive stations. But the wrap angle in Sidewinder is calculated automatically. I can uncheck this checkbox, in which case I can manually enter what the wrap angle is. But most of the time, you want to let Sidewinder just automatically calculate it. The only trick here is negative numbers simply mean a counterclockwise wrap. And a positive number, if I just put like 1 here, it will automatically calculate a positive wrap angle. Now if I change my length from -10 and 0 to -10 and say -5, we can see the wrap angle just automatically adjusted. So anytime you have a pulley with and you've specified an incoming and an exiting flight, Sidewinder will automatically calculate the wrap angle for you. So again, this is fairly nice because you can actually draw your drawing how it really is. So again, let's say we came back here, maybe only 2 meters, and we had a motor. Obviously we probably want, let's see, we're on the clean side there, yep. Maybe we come over 2 meters, oops, 2 meters that way, and we have another pulley, so on and so forth, -5 meters, whatever. I have some drive arrangement here. So again, I can just go ahead and manually enter each of these elements one by one. A very nice feature that we've recently added to Sidewinder, and I'm going to go ahead and just delete all of these elements I just created. So we come around here, delete, and insert below. What I'm going to go, rather than manually entering the full drive layout like I just did, I'm going to click this Insert Layout button right here. Again, it's kind of colored tannish, pinkish, whatever color, but insert layer, and that brings up a nice little window of a bunch of different options. Single drive layouts, you got just a single drive, maybe you got a drive with a vertical take-up layout or a horizontal take-up, dual drive systems. This is quite popular. You're discharging, say, into a stockpile, you drop your drives back to the ground. So again, you could manually enter all of this by hand. I could put in a pulley and a flight and then another pulley, drop it down and enter all this. But if I just click on Insert Layout and click on any picture I want, boom, there we go. It's automatically entered all of these pulleys for us. And of course this might not be exactly how our layout is, but it's sure a nice starting point that I can come over here and say, okay, well, we really didn't drop down 5 meters. Perhaps we dropped down 7 meters or whatever it happens to be, and back up 7 meters, and we can modify that to fit our specific conveyor. But that's a real nice option there. Also, you notice, and I actually made a mistake when I selected this. When you go to Insert Layout, it inserts it at your current element. So whatever current element you currently are on, it's going to insert the layout. You can see here between the pulley and our last element, we've got a 0, flight, which is essentially meaningless. So the wrap angle is, Sidewinder doesn't know. It's the incoming flight is 0 length, so it doesn't know what the true wrap angle is. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And I'm just going to go over to our wrap angle and push 1. Just a positive number is going to give me a positive wrap, and there it just corrected it to 180 degrees. If I had put in -1, it would think it's going to wrap it in the counterclockwise direction, which of course is not right. We want a positive number. And there we go. So insert drive layout, like I say, it just essentially comes up with a list. If we've got a tail station, If I was going to put something at the tail, I could, rather than click on head here, I could just click tail. And what this does is it just mirrors each one of these. So perhaps this was actually a tail drive thing. You can imagine that this is just mirrored around, and it'll create this arrangement at the tail rather than the head. Another common one is just like your turnover arrangement. There's a typical 4-pulley turnover arrangement. So again, this is just a quick little way of entering elements. So I think that will wrap it up for importing a simple file from AutoCAD and using our insert drive layout.